Once again, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form on the end of the counter and give it to the council clerk as soon as possible. Individuals addressing the council should be respectful of others in their choice of words and actions. I ask that all cell phones, pagers, and electronic devices used for communications be silenced for the duration of this meeting. I now call the special council meeting to order, Monday, July 26th at 5:30 p.m. And I ask Mr. Danny Babin if you could please lead us in an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Something's going on with this microphone, Miss Suzette.
I'll talk loud enough.
Go ahead.
Loving and gracious God, help us keep the common good before us. Strengthen our gifts of wisdom, courage, and respect for the views of others. Strengthen us to continue to work with our leaders, seeking an ever more just society that acts in harmony and independence with all creation. In the name of Jesus, in union with your Spirit, amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Michel?
Here.
Mr. Amade?
Here.
Ms. Domain?
Here.
Mr. Darren Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Babin?
Here.
Mr. Dirk Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Trosclair? Mr. Navy? Mr. Harding?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
We don't have a chairman. Oh, no, there he is.
While Ms. Suzette figures out what the problem is with our microphone, I'd like to do a couple of housekeeping. First of all, I have a letter from Mr. Steve Trosclair. It says, please be advised that I'll be absent for tonight's special council meeting. Due to a personal matter, I have reviewed the agendas and will follow up on matters requiring my attention. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do a little quick reset because our system is not working at the moment. While she's doing that, I would like to note that this special session, Condemnations, is to conduct public hearings and to take action on the proposed condemnation structures. The presentation given by nuisance abatement, which contains the background and the history of each property with photographs of the subject structures and administration's recommendations, are part of the official record of these proceedings, and a hard copy will be maintained in the office of the Planning Department. Okay, I think we're in business. Item 1, conduct public hearings and take action on the proposed condemnations of structures located at the following locations. Location A, 8965 Grand Caillou Road, Dulac, Louisiana, owned by Ramsey Todd Billiot. Administration?
Yes, we received the initial complaint for this location in April of 2021. We issued all notices, and the last inspection we conducted was on July 19th, and the structure continues to be in violation. So we are recommending that it be condemned. However, we were just given information that possibly the owner that we have listed isn't the owner. He has his property description. I haven't had a chance to take a look at what he has, but Tanner is also here to represent him, and I'd like to hear from them at this time.
Mr. McGee?
Yes, thank you, Council. We advertised for this in the paper, and Mr. Ramsey contacted my office this afternoon. He read it in the paper, and he says that The property, he actually doesn't own the property in question, that is part of a succession of his great-grandfather, and that there is another owner of it, and there's multiple owners of it. He has the property up to it, but not the actual property, it's not the actual structure itself. But so we only look for him, we did not look for the people he's identifying. I think in an abundance of caution, it would be worth continuing it to let nuisance abatement talk to him about who actually owns the property itself. And Mr. Todd's here and present.
Okay. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, Dion, look for a little guidance here. We want to extend it since this extenuating circumstances, what, 60 days or to the next condemnation hearings?
Well, it would be until the next hearing, but I'd also like to make mention, though, that we do land title researches prior to this meeting, and what we were given also is the same thing as the initial ownership information. So we did confirm what we had with our title abstractor. So, but I mean, if you guys do want to continue it, I have no information on the proof of what he is saying at this time.
Yeah, can I ask Representative McGee?
Yes.
So this individual here does not own this property? The names that we used on this property, Ramsey Todd Billiard, this is Mr. Billiard right
Is
here?
Mr. Billiard here? He said it's actually Carlton Dutu, who is the property owner, and is part of the succession of Joseph Parfait. I think there's multiple owners, and my understanding is that Carlton Dutu is the main property person for multiple people who have a
Dion, do
claim.
you have any of those names?
I don't have any of those names, but Tanner is saying part of a succession. Is Mr. Ramsey Billiard a part of that succession? Would he also be an heir, Tanner?
He possibly could be. I don't know. He called me this afternoon. This is the conversation we had this afternoon.
yeah.
It's pretty quick for me to turn around that
Yeah, I
conversation.
think we probably just need to I'd like to make a motion to hold this over to the next condemnation hearings.
Second.
Motion to hold by Mr. Babin, second of Ms. Domingue. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This is continued.
I don't like doing
Item B, 308 Mahler Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Gretchen Lore Malbrew. Administration?
Okay. We received a complaint for this location in October of 2019. We've issued warnings and conducted inspections. The last inspection was July 20th, and the structure remains in violation, so we're going to recommend that it be condemned.
Mr. McGee?
We properly advertised with no response.
Anybody here representing this property? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to close.
We have a motion to accept the recommendation of staff,
Motion to, accept
by Ms.
recommendations
Domingue.
of staff. Yeah.
seconded by Mr. Michel. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item C, 108 Smith Lane, Houma, Louisiana, owned by the estate of Jesse May Jones. Administration?
Yes, the initial complaint for this location was received in July of 2019. We've issued notices and conducted inspections. Our last inspection was July 19th. The structure remains in violation, so we're going to recommend that it be condemned. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Mr. McGee, are you representing this property?
Is this Smith Lane?
Yes.
Yes, I advertised for it with no response.
Anybody else representing this property? Mr. Harding?
That's Effie.
Yes, I just wanted to see if there was a physical, there it is right there. Yeah, I went by there today. They were actually, I think, someone was cutting the grass. Is it from the parish?
Probably the parish.
From
Yes.
the parish. Well, no, I have no objection.
Recommendation for administration is to condemn. Do we have a motion?
Yeah,
Motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Mr. Babin made a motion, I believe, to accept the recommendation of administration. Seconded by Mr. Michel. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item D, 102 Effie Street, Chauvin, Louisiana, owned by Abigail Land Holdings, LLC. Administration?
The complaint was received in March of 2021. We've issued notice, conducted inspections. The last inspection was July 19th, and the structure remains in violation, so we're going to recommend that it is condemned.
Mr. McGee?
I also advertised for this property with no response as well.
Anybody in the audience representing this property? Do I have a motion?
You got a motion to condemn?
Moved by Mr. Dirk Gidry to accept the recommendations of administration, seconded by Mr. Babin. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next item E, 1205 Miles Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Claudie Rita Bergeron.
I'm sorry, we received a complaint for this location. I have here January 2020. However, this location, actually, we've been receiving for several years, mostly in regards to the junk and trash that is inundated on the property and the tall grass that continues to be on the property. However, there is a shed that is on the property that is in deplorable condition. So we're going to recommend that this structure be condemned. The shed, yes.
Anybody representing this property? Please state your name and address.
My name is Carol Bourgeois. I live at 14 Gould Avenue. This is my mama's property. My little brother's living there by my mama's will when she died. And he trashed it, I understand that. And I'm in poor health right now. My wife's in terminal ill, and he got a hernia. And give me a little time, and I'll hire somebody to go clean it out. That's all I'm asking. I just got this letter about 2 weeks ago. You know, I went over to him. He's been promising to clean it, but he got a hernia the size of a tennis ball.
Mr. Michel?
And all I need is a little time.
Mr. Bourgeois, is it?
Yes, I'm Carol. I'm working full-time for Audited.
I understand. The shed's in pretty bad shape. Are you opposed to us going and tearing that down, or do you have
Well, we
somebody
don't have
who
the money to pay. I got some friends that'll help me.
they'll tear it down?
Yes, I'll get it tore down. You give me a month and I'll have it out of there. That's my word on it.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I'm asking, 30 days.
Miss Dion, what about the grass and all? Is it still out of compliance?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of flowers in the front yard. His wife planted. The backyard got some grass, and he had my weed eater trimming all weekend.
Mr. Hebert, what is the language we can use to allow him to have more time? Oh, come on, hold on, I gotta turn some of these off. Go ahead.
That the language is that the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, after a hearing, is gonna condemn the property, subject to a suspension for 30 days to give the property owner a chance to tear down the shed. In the event he does not tear down the shed within 30 days, starting tomorrow, including all normal and legal holidays, then it will, the parish will go forward with its own contractor to knock it down.
Do you understand that, Mr. Bourgeois? He'd give you 30 days, but if it's not done in 30 days. Mr. Michel, did you have something else?
I'd like to make a motion that we give him 60 days, just to be sure. 30 days will come and go quickly, and we don't, I'd like to give him 60 days, just to be sure. 60 days, he's done.
And may I make a suggestion to that? 60 days, I mean, I understand that. However, we've been he's actually living in the shed. The residential structure has no utilities. They have been caught several times with extension cords running across the street. So if we can get this down as quickly as possible, that would be appreciated.
Mr. Navy,
And
anything, Mr. Navy? You have any comment? Okay, I'll move that we do the 30 days then.
okay, we have a motion to condemn
No,
with
just
a
withdraw your
30-day.
motion.
Yeah, withdraw the motion.
Withdraw the
motion and
substitute
make the
motion and the original motion stands. Did y'all vote on it?
Well, that.
No, I think we need to make it a motion.
I'll withdraw the motion and replace the motion for the 30 days.
For the condemnation with the 30 days to allow for it to get up to code. We have a motion from Mr. Michel.
No.
Okay. Mr.
That's
Hebert?
correct. If it's not, it's condemned tonight, suspended
Yep.
for 30 days. They got 30 days to bring it up to code. If not, then the parish will go knock it down.
Right. We have a motion from Mr. Michel, seconded by Mr. Babin. Mr. Harding?
Yes. Now, before this gentleman leaves from here, we are talking about the shed, not the house in the front, right?
Yeah,
So you have to understand
Yeah, just the shed.
Just the shed. Now,
understand.
the other factor about that, what I'm hearing is the fact that the house in the front is the flowers or the grass. Is that a problem?
Yes, I don't see flowers. What we see is tall grass, junk, and trash.
Okay, so therefore, would this create another problem for the gentleman sitting there?
Oh, they need to clean that. Yes, absolutely.
All right, then.
Pictures of grass everywhere.
I'm just making
Yeah, I
sure,
know.
I'm making sure you understand before we leave here.
And the picture
Tearing down the shed.
They got anywhere in my mama's yard.
I'm just trying to get you to
I
understand.
know, I appreciate that, but somebody's.
Hold on, Mr. Bourgeois.
I'm trying to get you to understand, tearing down the shed is one problem. You
Yeah.
still have another problem that's there, and it's still gonna be right there. So, you know what I mean, before you leave, I just wanna let you know.
I'm just trying to figure out how much of the flowers they don't want in, when I can show grass that you can't even see the building that you pass on Main Street, you can't even tell they got a building back of it. The grass covers the whole fence, and just a little bit of think somebody's coming against me, I feel very hard, and I don't know why. Who wants this property?
We have a motion, a second. Anything else, Mr. Harding? Nope. Mr. Michel?
Okay, just to piggyback on what Councilman Harding said, if you don't cut the grass and keep it down,
Yes.
then it's gonna end up costing you more money.
I
Okay,
understand.
so just make sure that gets
I'm
done.
sure.
And nobody's targeting your property. What ends up happening though is if we have to go out there for the shed like that, we're gonna see everything else too. So I don't think anybody's targeting your property, but we gotta get that. You gotta get
Well, I mean,
it.
right across the street, they got a house that's in worse shape than, I mean, I've got pictures.
Well, and that's a conversation for another time. Bring it up to your councilman.
Okay.
You can call the planning department if you need to report something else, but that doesn't take away from the
I know it
responsibility.
doesn't take away, I'm not trying to take away.
I understand.
from his
Okay, so
lack of
do what you
responsibility.
can to get that down within 30 days and keep that grass down, and you should be good to go. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Good luck, Mr. Bourgeois.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that very much.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item F, 1115 Clay Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Geneva Smith Spencer, Rosa Lee Spencer Harris, Lily Mae Spencer Celestin, Joe Spencer, Elijah Spencer Jr., Shirley Mae Spencer, Carolyn Spencer Theodore, Rachel Spencer Wills, Shannon L. Spencer, Brenda Joyce Spencer, and Shirley S. Nero. Administration?
Yes, we received a complaint for this location in November of 2019. We've issued notices and conducted inspections. Our last inspection was July 20th, and the structure continues to be in violation. So we're going to recommend that it be condemned.
You represent the property. State your name and address, please.
Yes, I do. I'm Shirley Nero.
And this is your current address? This is your address?
No, this is my mother's home, 1115 Clay Street.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the record, what is your address?
2007 Pennington Street, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay, you can continue.
Well, some time ago, I came out to do some work on the house. I didn't get to do it. I had some other things happen. I didn't get around to it. So now I guess I'm coming back. I found someone to help me with the house at this time. The part that's with all the damage was added on to the house. Now, I'm having to have that section taken off anyway of the house. It's my mother's house. So I thought I hope I can get some more time to do whatever has to be done to that. I have someone already, the neighbor in that area, they're going to take care of the yard from now on. So if we remove that piece off the back of my mother's house, and I having someone picking up doing the yard, it'll all be complete. If I'm going to remove the back off, I have someone ready to do that. And the neighbor is going to take over the yard. He's going to take care of his yard. that person live across the street and my house, twice a month.
And so how long do you think it will take you, to bring the home up to code?
Oh, I don't know. I hope we can, I hadn't come to that conclusion, but I'm hoping we can get it done within a month, I hope.
Mr. Hebert?
Is she talking about bringing it up to code, or she's talking about tearing it down? You need to ask her that.
I think you're talking about tearing down the addition, correct?
The addition that's at the back of the house, yes,
Correct. And you're thinking that you could do that within another month?
within the month.
Mr. Michel?
I want to know which one of those pictures represents the addition. If you look over there, which one of those pictures represents the addition? The left one, the top right, or the bottom right?
That's the back. The back.
Upper
The
right.
back of the house.
Okay, and
Across the back of the house is what was added to my mother's home.
Ms. Dion, can you comment on whether or not tearing down that back is going to be sufficient?
I cannot comment. I'm not aware that it is an addition. I mean, if she tears that down, will there be an open wall? I really can't comment on it. But I can say this, that it's been open since 2019, and 1 month, I don't know.
Let me ask this question: If we just vote to condemn, and then she comes back in, I mean, how long is it going to take to get somebody to tear it down?
The parish?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we have to go out for bid. It just depends.
But it's going to take over a month, huh?
Maybe not. Because my recommendation is to give her until August 6th. So once I refer this to the purchasing department, and if they begin the process, it may take less than a month. I can't answer for purchasing either.
Okay. Okay, so if we just condemn it, will that automatically give her till August 6th, or we have to stipulate that? Okay. All right, anybody else have anything they want to say?
Mr. Harding?
Yes, Ms. Nero. Did you receive a
I'm sorry,
letter?
I don't hear very well, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you receive a letter from the government?
A letter did come to my home some time ago.
Ms. Nero, we'll try to talk loud, but if you could speak into the microphone, we'll try to talk loud.
Very well myself.
That's okay. She thinks I'm talking to her.
That's okay, we'll try to talk loud.
Okay.
Go ahead and say what you were going to say into the microphone.
Oh, gee, I'm not good at this. Speaking up for myself, all I know is that the back part of the house, I went by there and I can see that it needed to be taken down, and it was our intention to do so. But now I have someone to help me make sure that's done, to remove that section off the house. That's what I hope to do.
Hopefully you can hear me. You can hear me?
I mean,
Yes. Did you receive a letter? And the letter told you what you had to do for your property to be satisfactory for the government. Am I right, Miss?
Yes.
Yes. So they gave you a list of things that need to be done.
Yeah. Wait, I received that letter. I didn't get to go over the information because I had some problems at home, and I couldn't do it. My husband very ill, and I brought him home to spend the rest of his life at home. So, and I didn't get around to reading the letter. I can't find the letter. Things wasn't right. So I have someone to come to look at it, and make sure it's done. I have someone to go through it with me now. At first I was by myself. And all I want this time to remove the back part of the house that you say is so bad. We want to remove it and finish getting the house in order. The guy that next door to me, after I talked with him, and he offered to really, and so we're gonna have him keep the yards up twice a month. He keep the yards up twice a month. So I don't know what else needs to be done, but that back portion of the house that was added on to my mother's house.
I'm done, Mr. Navy.
Okay. Mr. Navy?
Yes, Dion. How much, what information did you all send to her in reference to what needs to be done to the structure? It was very outlined, detailed of what needs to be done to the structure?
Yes, it's, we'll, in the warning letter, it will itemize what is, what's the violation, and then it'll itemize what you need to do to correct that.
Mm-hmm. And how much, I know you don't know this, but what would you think would be the time frame to tear structure down and whatever need to be done to bring it up to code?
Well, if she's asking for 30 days, give her the 30 days. I can't answer for her and how much time it will take her, or anyone for that matter.
Okay. Ma'am, do you think you could get this completed with the parish one in 30 days, realistically? That's what I'm asking, because I'm trying to help you. I don't really get into some of the chaos no more, but
It would be my goals to do that. I hope to. It would be my goal to do it. I have someone who's gonna help me get it done. I'm sorry, I'm back over here.
okay, I'm gonna make a motion to give you that time frame, if that's what you're saying that you need. And I'm just making you aware that if you don't have that time frame, the parish is gonna take action.
Okay.
And I don't wanna see you lose something that's very precious to you.
That is to remove the back portion of the house?
And
That is to bring this structure into compliance, whatever that may be.
What else is not in compliance?
If any rotting wood, you need to repair the roof, any doors, any windows that are broken. The electric, well, yeah, all that, you need to bring tall grass, junk and trash.
Does
That
someone
would,
live in this structure or something, or just an abandoned structure?
abandoned structure, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I want you to understand, ma'am, that she's telling you that you need to, if roofs need to be repaired, rotten wood, if roof need to be repaired, rotten wood need to be taken off, electric, everything need to be done. There's a lot that's gonna need to be done to this home, realistically.
Okay.
And that's why I'm telling you that what you're talking about, I don't know if you could accomplish what the parish wanted just 30 days besides just tearing down the back. So I'm gonna grant you what you're asking for, but if the parish don't feel that that's within the code of the parish code and ordinance, then they may take action against the home and tear the home down.
You have a code you would give me, is that it?
It would be Ms. Stewart that would give you the other additional information that you need. But I'm just realistically telling you that it may be a problem with you trying to grant what they're asking for. So I will make a motion to give you the 30 days that you're asking for, but I think you need to get with the parish to make sure that you can accomplish what they want. Go ahead, Jules.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, Mr. Hebert,
just so it's clear, Mr. Navy, you doing like we did before?
could you speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Are you doing like we did on the previous one, move to condemn, suspend for 30 days? She's got 30 days to bring the code. If it's not in code 30 days, then the parish is gonna tear it down. Is that the motion?
You asking me if that's the motion I'm
Yeah.
making?
Is that the one you want?
I mean, I need to make sure she realistically understand that. I'm not gonna do that if she doesn't understand what we're telling her that's gonna happen to the structure. Do you understand that though? That if you don't bring the house and the back part up to what the parish wants you to do, they're gonna tear everything down. I don't want that to happen, but I want you to understand what they're telling you they're gonna do.
Okay, she gonna give me the information that other parts that need to be repaired other than the back portion.
She's going to give you that information, yes, ma'am.
Not tonight. You can call.
I'm sorry, I don't hit
Just call the office on tomorrow. I'll give you that information.
We have a motion by Mr. Navy.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Domain. Mr. Harding?
Yes, and that's what I was trying to do. I think the ladies from New Orleans, and I think everybody in here can understand that, you know what I mean, with all due respects, we need to help this lady out if possible. To have that information in her hand as soon as possible so it can be written down. And you can't lose this one, ma'am. And it's going to state specifically what they are trying to do. Mr. Navy has actually put you in the position where they can help you. But you have to be realistic about this, you know what I mean? And you don't want, my heart doesn't tell me to say, well, spend your money, and that's what Mr. Navy is trying to do for you. And I think we're all up here. Don't spend your money and you're not ready in 30 days because you're going to spend your money for other things that you may need it for. You follow what I'm saying? Let's just make a logical decision for what you have to do, and she's going to get the information to you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Michel.
Could I come back before the month is over?
Oh.
You can see what I have.
Hold on. Hold on a sec.
If I didn't do it as well as you think, within that 30 days?
Yeah,
Could you come and check it?
Yeah, we'll come and check, yes.
So the question is whether or not you're going to check with, whether you're going to check her progress, and you said you would. That was the question. Mr. Michel?
I just want to confirm that the motion is to condemn with a 30-day suspension. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks. Item G, 124 South Louisiana Avenue, Montague, Louisiana, owned by Leroy J. Charpentier and Lloyd P. Charpentier. Administration?
Okay, we received the complaint for this location June of 2019. We've issued notice, conducted inspections. The last inspection was July 20th, and it remains in violation. And so we're going to recommend that it be condemned.
Anybody here representing this property? Mr. Guidry?
My motion is to condemn. Second.
Motion by Mr. Guidry to accept the recommendation, seconded by Mr. Babin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item H, 218 Nate Lane, Berg, Louisiana, owned by Ricky Anthony Jeffrey. Administration?
We were unable to make service to request that they appear at the hearing, so we're going to recommend that it be continued until the October condemnation hearing.
We have a motion to hold by Mr. Dirk Guidry, seconded by Mr. Harding. Did you want to speak, Mr. Jeffrey, or?
I'll just say that
Go ahead and come up to the microphone.
I just wanted to say I had acquired the property through the tax sale back in 17, and I've done everything that I could do to keep the property in code. I think Mr. Trosclair had talked to the administration about it last year. The only thing I had left on it was the mobile home, which is titled in someone else's name, and my name is not there, but I do have a court date set for August the 8th, August the 6th, that I should be able to have the property put into my name, which I would own it. But the mobile home is actually owned by some heirs. And I do have a copy of the registration showing that I don't think I'm in a position to be able to tear that mobile home down yet. But if I do own the property, August the 6th, I'll be able to take care of that mobile home.
And we're giving you the extension. There should be plenty enough to do that.
Correct. Till October is what was said.
Yes.
And right now, it's all boarded up, so nobody can enter into it or anything like that.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff. We have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item I, 7742 Shrimpers Road, Dulac, Louisiana, owned by Dean P. Falgu. Administration?
Yes, we received the complaint for this location December of 2019. We've issued notice, conducted inspections. Our last inspection was July 19th, and it continues to be in violation, so we're going to recommend that it is condemned.
Mr. Falgu, go ahead and state your name and address for the record if you don't mind.
I am Dustin Falgu. I'm the son of Dean Falgu. My address is 106 Talbot Drive, Houma, Louisiana. We have no objection that the property, this trailer does need to be torn down. Only question is there anything negative on our part if we just let you condemn it and do your thing?
Mr. Hebert, why don't you explain the legal ramifications?
I'm explaining this to the council, so Mr. Falgo, you listen what I'm saying. If the council condemns this, it's gonna be a price to condemn it. And what the council's gonna do is that when the final charges come in, Ms. Stewart, on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Governance Administration, is gonna record a lien to get back the parish's money that they are paying to tear this down. So there will be a lien on the lot and ultimately an attempt to collect that money for tearing it down. So in other words, that's what the process is either when these letters go out, either you bring it up to code or you go tear it down. If you put it in the government's hands on a condemnation to go get rid of it, then at the end of the day, somebody's gotta pay for that, reimburse the government.
Ms. Pulaski, you have something to add?
Well, before the lien is filed, the invoice is sent to the property owner for the costs of, the violations and administrative fees that have incurred, as well as the contractor fees to clean it up. It's only if it doesn't get paid, then the lien gets filed. So the property owner does have time to pay the invoice before a lien is filed, but it'll be cheaper for you in the long run to do it yourself, hire your own contractor to have the property cleared. But, the parish can do it. It's just going to end up costing you a little bit more to have the parish do it.
Okay, we'll get it done. I just need to know how much time would you give me to get it done. My father works offshore. He's actually not coming home Wednesday like he was supposed to because my mother has COVID, so he's going to elect to stay offshore. And I'm active duty military, so I'll work when I can. But actually, you know what? I got a contractor that could probably help us out. He just did some work in my house this week. So how much time would you give me to get it done?
Ms. Dion, how long has this been on the books?
2019.
19? Mr. Babin?
Yeah, again, I was gonna say exactly what it said. You're either gonna pay me now or pay me later. You hire a contractor and get it torn down, or then the parish does it. She's recommend condemning it. Like she said on the one before, it may be the first week or two of August before you get somebody to go out there and do it. So if you get it started in that time, we're not gonna tear it down. But we need to make a motion tonight to condemn it, all right? And then you can start your process from here, all right, Mr. Hebert?
I would just tell you, I would just advise you to stay consistent. Everybody's been getting 30 days. I would tell you, my advice to you is to stay consistent.
I didn't finish, that's the problem. I said, I'm gonna condemn it based on giving him 30 days, okay?
We have a motion by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Michel. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
Item J, 118 Vera Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Cynthia Whitfield Pellegrin. Administration?
This location also, we had insufficient service, so we're going to recommend that it's continued until the next hearing.
Motion to continue for Ms. Domingue, seconded by Mr. Harding. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Matter is continued. Item K, 1188 Highway 665, Montague, Louisiana, owned by Francis James Naken, Jr.
I'm sorry. We received this location in December of 2019. Notice is issued, inspections conducted. Last inspection was July 19th. I'm sorry, and this one also insufficient service, so we're going to recommend that is continued also.
Motion to continue by Mr. Michel. Seconded by Ms. Domingue. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Matter is continued. Okay, I see. We're on item number 2, which is discussion and possible action relative to. We didn't do 414 Louise? Okay, 414 Louise Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Lily Carter Mitchell. Yes.
Okay. Well, since I'm sorry. Since the request of this hearing, this property has actually been sold, and they are working to demolish and bring the property into compliance. So we're going to recommend that this file is closed.
Motion closed by Ms. Michelle. Seconded by Mr. Vavin. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 2, discussion and possible action relative to rescinding the condemnation order for the residential and accessory structure located at 515 Antoine Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Roberto and Bessie Robledo. Ms. Dion?
Well, actually, this location has already been condemned. I believe there was another meeting where he had appeared at, and he was given additional time to bring the structures into compliance. So we did inspect the location on this past week. The residential structure is in pretty decent shape. However, this accessory structure is not. It's inundated with junk and trash, and it is still in dilapidated condition. So we're gonna ask that you hold or you keep the condemnation on the accessory structure, and you could rescind on the residential.
Go ahead and state your name and address. You're representing the property.
Me, Roberto Robledo. I got pictures of the property where I did. I repainted it. I fixed all the insides. Got chalk bites on the water lines, brand new water lines. I went to Walmart and I came in and gave them a receipt one time. And when I got them back, I got them back just the same way I gave it to them. And then I came, the lady downstairs can verify, I came 3 times already over here to find out when the meetings were, and they took my phone number, they never called me. They never called me. And I already got that house painted, and the other side of the other house on the other side, I went to 311 and bought a roll of that tin, and I bent it and I put it I put soffit, and I do carpet work when I get a chance. And I did the whole side and top on the other house, and this one here, they got brand new windows.
Mr. Roberto, did you understand the recommendation of administration? They recommended that we no longer condemn the home, but we keep the condemnation on the auxiliary structure, which I guess is a shed or something?
What is that? Oh, yeah. No, well,
but administration is saying that the home has been brought up.
I get a check, a little check, and what I do out there, I picked up tanks from Safety First and all that. They gave me all them tanks, and I do I make a few dollars with it to pay my bills. But now, this morning the man went and took a picture, and he told me, it'd be best to take them tanks out of there, so what I did, I spent all day yesterday and today, and I ain't got one single tank in that property. I took them all down the bayou. To a friend of mine says he's gonna cut them, and I cleaned my whole yard up. I took all the tanks out, everything. And that shed in the back, I got stuff in there from my wife passed away. I got it stacked up on top in that shed. And I got stuff when I moved from Montague, when my wife died, to that address 515, and they got so much stuff I couldn't put it in my little apartment, so I got to have the stuff in that shed. And what I use it for, and I use it to clean my tanks too when it's raining. I work inside the little shed, and I got all my receipts from when I go to the scrapyard, and I sell my little iron and stuff to make a few dollars. I mean, I got to make a living. Nobody help me. I'm by myself.
Hold on, Mr. Roberto.
But anyway, I ain't doing it no more. I've got rid of my tanks. I guess I'm gonna go get food stamps like everybody else because I don't get none of that. I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm 75 years old. I take care of my own self, and I did all the painting, all the windows, all the plumbing, all the electrical work myself in that house, and it's finished. I got pictures of it. If you want to see it.
Okay, hold on a second, Mr. Roberto. Mr. Harding?
Yes. In reference to this piece of property, I think the recommendation that the administration actually basically comes out to be offered, and it's to Mr. Roberto's advantage in looking at it and understanding the conditions and the opportunity he's been given to take care of certain portions of this piece of property. It's not a shed behind the address. It's actually a house. Someone was living there. They vacated. I also looked at the surroundings of the house in the back. I think it's a reasonable suggestion by the administration. Therefore, I move to actually accept the recommendation of the administration.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hardin to accept the recommendation from administration, seconded by Mr. Guidry. Is there anything else, Mr. Roberto, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I got pictures of the house you're gonna look at. No, I'm just saying, no, for real, I mean, it's pretty, people wanna rent it, but they don't have no money to pay me no rent. I let people rent it, and they never put the light on, they never put the water on, they never did nothing they were supposed to do, and they stayed there 2 months without giving me a nickel. I mean, that's sad, but I mean, the people just ain't got no money. They tell you they're gonna rent it, and then they move in, and they don't do nothing. They're supposed, see, all the wiring's already done. All they had to do is get the light company to put the light on, and the water company to put the water on. They never did that. Everything's hooked up. I got nothing but red and blue lines I went and got at Lowe's. I got all under the house, all brand new lines. And I went and got the truck bites, all my connections got truck bites for everything.
Okay, Mr. Roberto. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Roberto, you can work together with them on your auxiliary. Just work together with administration on your auxiliary structure. Okay, so just be in contact with administration. Okay? All right. We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Babin, seconded by Ms. Domingue. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
Thirty seconds more, guys. I know we got a quorum. Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wish to address the council form located on the table near the entrance to the building and give it to either the chairman or council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. Individuals addressing the council should be respectful of others in their choice of words and actions. All cell phone pages and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the Public Services Committee meeting of July 26, 2021 to order and we'll have an invocation and a pledge by Mr. Amadi. Please rise.
Dear Lord, I pray that you guide us always, satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting, and strengthen us as we make tough decisions. Lord, I pray that we'll be fruitful, and Lord, please guide us so that this meeting can be productive, and let us be effective and decisive. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Amadi. Mr. Hampton, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Michel, Mr. Amade, Ms. Domain, Mr. Darren Guidry, Mr. Babin, Mr. Dirk Guidry, Mr. Trosclair, Mr. Navy, Mr. Harding. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton. Item on discussion and update from the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness relative to COVID-19 and any other pertinent public information. Mr. Hughes?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm going to go over a few numbers today. I'm not going to go over all the numbers I always go over with, because I think it's important that we stress some information regarding the vaccine and where we are in our parish and in the state of Louisiana. As of today, the parish has 12,093 cases. That's up 854 cases from the last council meeting. We're averaging about 61 cases a day. 2 weeks ago at the council meeting, we was averaging about 17 per day. Number of tests so far is 150,667. That's an increase of about 4,864 in the last 14 days. But to kind of give you an idea, the last council meeting was 4,437, but that was 21 days. So our positivity rate, unfortunately, is 12.3%. I start getting nervous when it's above 10%. The last meeting was 6.8%. From last week, we had an increase of, it's about an increase of 9%. So 3 weeks ago, it was, that's not good. Positivity last week, 3.2%. Positivity 2 weeks ago was 9.7. We're at 208 deaths. We've had 4 deaths in the month of July. That the last time we had that many deaths was in March of this year. 2 females, 2 males, ages from 52 to 80. On those deaths. Presumed recovered, we presume there's 10,870 people that have recovered from COVID in our parish. The interesting point here is that there's 1,223 positive cases or active cases walking around Terrebonne Parish today. Okay, that number was 488 at your council meeting 3 weeks ago. Okay, so we're almost 3 times as many positive cases walking around the parish today than we had 3 weeks ago. Number of cases, last week, 432. 2 weeks ago, 234. 3 weeks ago is 134, so we've doubled every week almost since the last, 3 weeks ago. I'm not going to go over all the death statistics. We still had 208 deaths in the parish, nursing home deaths are still at 79. We haven't had any deaths in the nursing home in quite a few months. Hospitalizations this past week, it was 19.2. So we'll round that to 19. So that's 19 people in the hospital per day with COVID. So that's a census. It's 19 today. If somebody gets discharged tomorrow, it's 18 tomorrow. If somebody gets put in the hospital 2 days from now, it goes back up to 19. So that's not 19 going in every day. It's just a census number. 2 weeks ago, it was 12.6. And then 3 weeks ago, it was at 15.5. So we had a little dip, but now we're going up. On the rise also is the number of people getting on a ventilator. Our neighboring parish in Lafourche is a lot worse than us at this present time as far as the number of hospitalizations. Just today, Lafourche Parish had 39 in the hospital with COVID, okay? 13 in ICU and 4 on a ventilator. In Terrebonne today, we had 29 patients. That includes Terrebonne General and Chabert Medical. 8 are in the ICU and 4 on a ventilator. These numbers are a lot larger than what they have been in the past 2 to 3 weeks. The vaccine doses. So far in Terrebonne Parish, we have administered 37,062 doses of the vaccine. Of that 37,062, 33,143 is completed both doses, or they have received just a Johnson & Johnson, which is just 1 dose. So the amount of doses administered this week from last week is an increase of 2,110. That's the difference from last week to this week. And those completed, the difference is 940. So we do see an increase in the number of people getting vaccinations, and it's due to all the news media reporting on the Delta variant of the COVID-19 and how much more contagious it is with everyone else. Just to let you know, it's about 1,000 times more contagious than what the regular COVID vaccine was when it first came out. So also in the state of Louisiana, we got 3,483,291 doses administered. Of that, 1,706,000 have completed both doses or received the Johnson & Johnson. That was an increase of about 123,503 just this past week. I was curious to find out how many vaccines were issued out by Terrebonne General Medical Center, or Health Systems as it is called now. They have issued to date 23,000 vaccines. I do want to let you know that that's not just people that live in Terrebonne. There are people from other states, other parishes that have received those vaccines. That is from December 16th to July 23rd. And they operated at the Civic Center for 52 days. Distributing vaccines. I didn't realize it was 52 days. That was a long time for them to operate issuing vaccines. COVID tests, they've already given out or conducted 29,500 COVID tests since March of 2020, just through Terrebonne General. Once again, our Terrebonne Parish ranks last in the percent of people that are vaccinated. Within our region, we're at 29.44%. So the next parish would be St. Mary at 30.12%. Our highest parish in the region is St. Charles at 41.44%, which is considerably higher than what our percentages of vaccines. It is very important that we stress people to get vaccinated. So I'm going to kind of go over some things that just came about this Friday with the governor and Dr. Canner giving their press release this week. Louisiana has been designated as a state of concern by the White House because of the number of cases and hospitalizations continuing to rise. Once again, this is due to the rapid spread of the Delta variant amongst the unvaccinated people in the state. The Delta variant is about 87% of the COVID cases that are being tested is the Delta variant. The Department of Health has now issued guidance recommending that all people, both vaccinated and unvaccinated, wear a mask indoors when at least 6 feet of distancing is not physically possible during this, what they're calling the fourth stage of the fourth surge of COVID-19. The guidance, Louisiana leads the nation right now in case growth with 47 cases per capita. This is an urgent situation in which more people are needed to go get vaccinated. Increased vaccinations coupled with masking, testing, and distancing, social distancing can get us out of this fourth stage, but only if people do take quick action within the next few days and couple weeks. To ensure their own safety, people in Louisiana should take precautions immediately. Masking and testing will limit death and suffering until we make it through this fourth surge. With the Delta variant and the insufficient vaccination rate, the summer season and school about to start, they consider this to be the perfect storm. So to continue to minimize any death and suffering in the fourth stage surge, LDH is recommending all individuals take precautions. Once again, all people vaccinated and unvaccinated should wear face masks while indoors. All businesses should review their operations to accommodate employees in a way that reduces unnecessary contact to avoid the spread of COVID. All people should take a COVID test immediately after a known or suspected exposure to COVID-19. That's even if you are vaccinated. You should go take a COVID test. If positive, they should immediately isolate themselves. And then if it's a negative, they should retest within 5 to 7 days after that post-exposure. And if they develop symptoms of COVID at any point, they should test and immediately isolate themselves. The reason they want vaccinated and unvaccinated is because of the how contagious the new variant is. So if you have an exposure, they're recommending that you go get tested. Just a few little facts here. 92.7% of the COVID cases reported last week were among not fully vaccinated people. I'm stressing the not fully vaccinated because people think that if you just get one dose that you may be okay. People think that if you had the COVID and you have the antibodies from the COVID and you took one vaccination that you're vaccinated. That is not true. You need both doses of the vaccine in order to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated. 90% of the 1,000 people who were hospitalized Friday in Louisiana were not fully vaccinated. So change that to 9 out of 10 people in the hospital are not vaccinated. Okay. And then 91% of the COVID deaths reported last week were among not fully vaccinated people. So 91% of the people that passed away last week from COVID, I don't have that number in Louisiana, but I do know that they weren't not fully vaccinated. We're getting calls about, well, if I'm vaccinated, why do I have to wear a mask? If people who aren't vaccinated, if people are vaccinated and they're getting the virus, why should I go get the vaccination? Please remember, guys, the vaccination is only 94%, has a 94% efficacy. In other words, it ain't 100% that you're not going to catch the virus, okay? But there is positive proof to show that if you are vaccinated, you have less chance of dying and less chance of having a hospital stay if you do catch this variant. So I just would like to stress that on the weekend of, let's see here, the weekend of August the 7th, there will be a large vaccination event from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Dumas Auditorium. They will have Pfizer, and it will be available for children 12 and above. And then they also will have the Johnson & Johnson for those 18 and above. The vaccine is free, okay? There is no cost to you. So please try to come out to the Dumas Auditorium on the 7th. I think there will be some other medical facilities there doing blood pressure checks and other things also at the auditorium. It is my understanding, Mr. Harding, that at the Mechanicville Gym that same day, they will have an event from noon to 4. Am I correct?
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, the event is from noon until 3. But Austin has actually made agreement to be there from noon to 4. And that's representing that side on August 7th from 12 to 4 within that range. And actually the August 7, 2020 at Dumas would be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. There are a number of other test action. We have Terrebonne Generals in association with us, Home Housing Authority START Program, Council on Aging, the Public Health, and we have these flyers. Hopefully we can get out to the people that's coming from the Health Department, even have scanners on it. Hopefully we'll get these out to you, and I thank Earl for all his efforts and actually part of the staff that actually help us out. Clerk staff helped us out with this, but we're trying to get the vaccination out there, and it's actually rather timely for us to do so, and I appreciate the efforts.
Thank you.
Mr. Darren Guidry?
Yeah, Earl, what did you say the percentage of vaccinated people in the state of Louisiana?
The percent of vaccinated in Louisiana right now is at 36%.
So 36% are vaccinated, but yet
In the state of
only 10% of the cases that we have are vaccinated people. So obviously the vaccine's working. We have 1 out of 3 is vaccinated, and 1 out of 10 are the number of cases that we're getting. So
Yeah, and to follow up on that, Mr. Guidry, we've had 27 deaths from people that have completed the vaccine and have died from COVID. So out of 10,915 deaths within the state of Louisiana, 27 of those were fully vaccinated and have deceased. That's only a percentage of 0.25% of those that are vaccinated that have deceased.
And of course, we don't know which vaccines that were taken, because I think some are only 65% efficacy, some are 95, depends on which ones. So we don't have those numbers as well. But the vaccine is definitely working, and I encourage people to get the vaccine so we can get rid of this thing. Ms. Domingue, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Domingue.
All right. Thanks, Earl.
Yes, ma'am.
From someone in the medical field, I feel like we're living through a nightmare, and it's worse than it was before. It truly is. My dear friend, Mr. Navy, who's here tonight with us, he once told me, and I always remember this, Mr. Navy, that there's no Democrat or Republican stop signs, right? And this virus does not discriminate whether you are a Democrat or Republican or independent. I've honestly lost friends because of my stance on vaccines and how I feel that we should all be vaccinated. But let's get out of this. I mean, we need to get vaccinated. We need to move forward. The reason why you're getting so many, why this is such a problem is because, people who are vaccinated, yes, they're testing positive, but they're asymptomatic. So those asymptomatic people are then bringing the virus to the people who are not vaccinated. And so it's like it's spreading it like wildfire. So I'm pleading and I'm begging people, please get your vaccine. Please just do it. It doesn't matter what age, color, creed, anything, religion. This virus is there, and it's going to get you. And we got to move forward, because we are definitely moving backwards. So I'm begging everyone, please get your vaccines.
Mr. Michel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple questions. Do you have any information on, well, you talked about earlier that if someone is exposed, they should be tested. If they test negative, should they still quarantine?
No, if they test negative, then I shouldn't have to quarantine, but they need to go get tested in another 5 to 7 days, just in case they didn't have it the day they went and got tested.
And do you know if schools are going to require quarantine in that situation or not? Have you heard anything yet?
I haven't heard anything from the school system.
Okay, and at Dumas Auditorium, I was unclear on what you meant when you said that this Pfizer vaccine and this Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Mm-hmm. Is the Pfizer vaccine only for the children from 12 to 18?
No, sir. It's adults can take the Pfizer also, but you can't. That's the only vaccine that's available for 12 to 18.
Gotcha. Okay, good. That's
yeah.
So. And when they go there, can the adult choose whether they want the Johnson & Johnson or the Pfizer?
Yes, they can.
Okay. All right. Very good. I appreciate it.
Mr. Biden?
Yeah, Earl, thank you for your presentation, and this is not according to or about COVID, but I think everybody up here wants to send you their prayers and condolences for the loss of your mother since our last meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. One more thing, Mr. Chairman. If you're not going to go get vaccinated for yourself, please go for your family and your grandchildren. And I lost a good friend Thursday night to COVID. He was not vaccinated, and he left behind his wife and his 2 children and 2 grandchildren. If he would have been vaccinated, chances were very likely that he would not have died from the COVID. Okay. And then I also tell everybody there's 208 people in this parish that if they could have asked for the vaccine today to keep them alive, they would have took that vaccine. So thank you all for all y'all do for the parish and for promoting the importance of getting a vaccine.
Mr. Harding?
Yes, just to reiterate, I think the feelings of everyone here. We're trying to get the people that are not vaccinated to understand that we are offering a service to you. There are people in third world countries and other countries waiting and can't get the vaccine, and we are offering it free. We're offering you a service free. There are a number of things, opportunities that we've been given with pharmacists, hospitals. Everyone that I've contacted, they are willing to help. They are willing to help. So we want to actually, before we get those kids to go to school, to interact, and that's really like Ms. Jessica was saying, if you're involved with kids in the school system, I talked to Mr. Philip Martin in reference to that, those kids associated with grandmothers, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, they participate in sports. So we have to realistically look at the problem that we have, and we are offering a service. We're not forcing this upon no one. But the opportunity in America is presenting this to you, free. Thank you.
Mr. Hughes, thank you a lot for your update. Seems like a long time since we had our first one. So,
March 20, well, it all started in March of 2020.
yeah,
so,
it's been a while. So.
And the tropics are clear. So
Thank you.
One thing. Thank you all.
All right. Item 2, providing approval of change order number 2, balancing to Norris and Boudreaux Contractors, LLC for cast iron gas line replacement, St. Louis and McKinley Street area, Phase 20, Parish Project number 18-gas-45. Moved by Mr. Amadee, second by Mr. Harding. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Item 3, ratifying the appointment of the firm of Delta Coast Consultants, LLC, to provide engineering services for the North Hollywood Road Drainage Improvements Project and authorizing the execution of an agreement for these services. Moved by Mr. Domingue, second by Mr. Guidry. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Item 4, introduce an ordinance to amend Article 2, Comprehensive Solid Waste Management Program of Chapter 11 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinance to classify waste generated in the process of a lawful eviction, to provide procedures for management and disposal of bulky waste not authorized for parish pickup, to provide for the administration of penalties for violations related thereto, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 11, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Ms. Domingue, second by Mr. Babin. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item 5, introduce an ordinance to establish a four-way at the intersection of Kelly Drive and McCoy Streets, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 11, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Michel, second by Mr. Guidry. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Item 6, introduce an ordinance to correct and update the polling stations identified in ordinance number 9099 to establish Precinct 15 Southdown Elementary School located at 1124 St. Charles Street in Houma, Louisiana, Precinct 16 Southdown Elementary School located at 1124 St. Charles Street in Houma, LA, Precinct 29 East Park Fire Station located at 8547 Park Avenue in Houma, Louisiana, Precinct 46 Municipal Auditorium located at 880 Verret Street in Houma, Precinct 58 Pontiac Elementary School located at 1236 Highway 665 in Montague, LA, Precinct 63 Loci Volunteer Department Fitness Center located at 5612 Highway 56 in Chauvin, and Precinct 72 Doulard Recreation Center located at 1330 Dr. Beatrice Road in Terrio, Louisiana, and called a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 11, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Guidry. All in favor? Any nays? Motion carries. Item 7, introduce an ordinance to amend the supplement ordinance number 9277, which authorizes the issuance by the Parish of Terrebonne not to exceed $6 million of its public library sales tax bond, Series 2021, ratifying the sale of these bonds to Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, and providing for any other matter in connection therewith, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 11, 2021, at 6:30 p.m. Well, Mr. Guidry, second by Mr. Babin, all in favor? Motion carries. Item 8, discussion, revisit, and possible action relative to recreation oversight of Recreation District Number 11 as per Section 21-92A of Ordinance Number 8938. Mr. Michel?
Thank you. I had this put on the agenda because the ordinance requires that we revisit it every 6 months. I believe it's been a little longer than that. I'm excited to say that Mr. Amos Mosley has been appointed as the director of Rec 11, and that brings great promise, in my opinion. And so I'm looking forward to things improving over the next 6 months before we revisit this again. And my recommendation is that we keep them in oversight, and with the optimism that in the next 6 months, with the leadership of Mr. Amos Moses, that they may be able to get out of oversight. I know he's met with Ms. Candace, and I think that they're trying to get in better compliance with the oversight ordinance. Is that correct, Ms. Candace? Okay, and so I'm excited about the progress there, and but my recommendation is to keep them in oversight, and in 6 months, hopefully, we'll have a whole different scenario that we can revisit.
Thank you. Mr. Harding?
Thank you. To be revisited and have the understanding that I wouldn't be representing my people that's within the district that have spoke with me on several times in reference to the oversight and the position that I take on the oversight. And I ask that my colleagues and the people that may have some interest in this particular discussion. And to be honest with you, in the democratic process that takes place up here, I'm perfectly willing to accept the outcome. But then I have to present the case for the people that I represent. And in doing so, realizing that this ordinance was actually put into play April 5th, 2018 by Councilman Darren Guidry, actually introduced this, and then at the time, Mr. Marmot. 5 council person that sits up here right now was part of this particular process, along with the parish president and the parish attorney. We're looking at the parish manager and the CFO, who are all present here at this particular time. And then at no time that we actually look at and have the full understanding with the oversight. And the point I have to make, and I've been trying to make on several occasions, there are a number of things written in here, and then actually when this was actually passed, it was retroactive. And when you make something that's retroactive, and because it doesn't really make any mention of Rec 11 itself, it says that recreation districts, boards, they speak of a number of things, and it also speaks of the responsibility that some of the 5 members that are still here and the people that represent the administration have to do and have to understand is that I stick to the fact that this was a two-way street. There were some things that Rec 11 board had to actually follow, but then there were, like Mr. Michel said, and I agree with him, he said it should have been revisited time and time again, and it's stated for 6 months it should have been revisited. We have gone on and gone on and gone on, and I'm happy that it's revisited. Because when we look at this, you look at sections 2188, number 6. You can look at those, and we had the package, and then I don't want to bore you with all that, but then later on, and if you actually just take my word for it that I've done some research on this, and another section is 2169, the whole thing was changed. The wording is changed. This fits all recreation districts. You don't really realize that we, the council, have more responsibility and authority over all the districts. All the districts. Therefore, at any given time, since 2018, the parish president could have appointed someone to go in there and actually make sure that Rec 11 was doing what they was. We're in 2021. That did not happen. Rec 11 has a attorney. They have a accountant. They actually have actuarials, and it's the responsibility of consolidated government, this administration, to oversee. Oversight means oversight. Now, at this particular time, Mr. Michel also mentioned that there's a new manager. That's one aspect of Recreation 11. There's a whole board that actually handles everyday operation. There are certain factors in this particular ordinance that actually handle payrolls. There has been so much said about payrolls. We're looking at a number of things that actually audits. We're looking at the boards and agendas and their minutes. We're looking at a number of things that we have to say that we had the opportunity to oversee. And then with that opportunity and the retroactive aspect of this particular ordinance at that time, I would ask, and I would beg to differ if anyone said that there were no one else or no other district that actually were in the same violations for reporting. A number of things are here, like importance of governing and governing. What's governing? Who's governing? So therefore, everything that Rec 11 had to go through, I strongly believe that, there are other districts that were not suffering the same penalties by micromanaging. And then really to micromanage in certain circumstances, they had picks and chooses. So in my representation of the members of Rec 11's board, the people that actually use the playgrounds, both the people within that particular district and throughout the parish, because Rec 11 is the most used set of facilities in Terrebonne Parish by TPR than any other recreation district, so how I have been informed. Therefore, I would actually make a motion that Rec 11 be removed from oversight and actually go along. I would flat out make a recommendation, make a motion that Rec 11 be removed from oversight.
Mr. Amadi?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Candace, can you give us an update on Rec 11 and how they're doing as far as their finances in pertaining to their oversight condition?
So as far as their financial status and where they are, they have done some significant cuts. We have to remember that 2020 stuff didn't happen, so of course your expenses have been cut. But I think that they are on the right path as far as making some changes to some of their grass cutting, some of their uniforms, as well as some of the repairs and maintenance and stuff to the upkeep for the gyms and the gym floors. As far as the oversight, I don't know that I can really give you an answer for that because they have the change in management. I believe that Mr. Amos and I met, and since him and I have met, they have done everything that they needed to do since him and I have met. So I think with his management, things would be on the right path. Previously there were some things that didn't get approved that were supposed to get approved and all that, but I don't want to say that that's what's currently happening. And it's only been, I think, a month as far as Mr. Mosley's been in place. So that would be my answer for that. I don't know that it's a direct answer, but it's all that I can give you.
Mr. Michel?
Okay, and I think it's only been like 2.5 weeks since y'all met, something to that effect. And I just think we would be premature in taking him out of oversight. I think we need to give Mr. Mosley our support and know that he's going to do. Now, the ordinance requires that we revisit it again in 6 months, but it doesn't mean we have to wait 6 months. So, I certainly do not think we should take them out of oversight today, but I would like to, we certainly may see an opportunity before 6 months comes around to revisit it, or we can revisit it again in 6 months as per the ordinance.
Mr. Navy.
Once again, I try not to, but I'm going to say it like this. I was a large part, although whoever made the motion and voted, but me and Ms. Alonda Williams really took the initiative to do what we need to do to protect Rec District 11 so they could continue to do what they had to do. There was 5 members that was here. I was one of them, okay? I don't think anything, let me say this like this, what has been done in my district from Rec 11, I don't think anybody in the history have done that. And I'm saying that for the simple fact that that was for the kids. I did something to protect the kids and brought joy and other things there that the kids and the elderly people can enjoy. Elderly programs and things like that. I protected them from what was going on. Some people may not know actually what we had to deal with, but other council members on this council know exactly what we had to deal with at that time. And there were some difficult times that we had to deal with Rec 11. And that was basically to protect them, okay, from themselves. So it's kind of comical that the fact that if they're doing what they're supposed to do, take them off. If they're not, don't take them off. I'm going to be honest with that situation. But at the end of the day, some of the people that's involved in the process wasn't genuine to try to help certain areas, okay? And I'm not going to play these games and keep playing these games. That's why I don't say too much, because the games don't make any sense from an aspect of really trying to help people, special people, disadvantaged or poor or whatever. So don't come with the politics of it, come with the facts of it, because I'm telling you, the facts are being deceiving, and that's something that I don't want to deal with anymore from a political standpoint, okay? So my thing is, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, take them off. If they're not, give it 6 months or whatever needs to be done. But I know the fight that we had on this council, me and Ms. Williams, trying to protect that particular area. So I don't care what they're saying now. Those guys know. These guys was here. They know. Dirk know. It was a fight. You know. So the fact is, if they doing what they're doing, take them off. If they're not. But we still, at the end of the day, we have control over them. I don't care what kind of oversight, we still have control. But I'm not going to sit here and play this game like I'm going to accept some of the stuff that's going on when I know some of the people that's still involved wasn't really genuine about what we was trying to do and the things that I brought, with the help of this council to that area. So it disheartened me to hear some of the stuff that's going on and being said, okay? It really does. But I know what happened. So things need to really change with District 11. And if it's really going to change, I hope it does. But I know what we had to deal with. Thank you.
Ms. Domingue.
Yes, thank you. And I'll be the first to admit that it was probably a disservice to Rec 11 that this wasn't looked at again in the proper timing. However, as you guys all know, we as this council, we had quite a year. So I am glad that it's come back up again. But let's just remind ourselves that we've done so much work. We all have. I mean, we all have worked so hard on making improvements to not just Recreation District 11, but our entire recreation system. And so we really have leveled the playing field for all recreation districts. And so it won't just be Rec 11, or it won't just be Rec 9 or, Rec 15 or whatever rec district. It's going to be, all rec districts are going to basically operate the same, and we ultimately do have the oversight over all of those things. Ms. Candace, you were asked a question earlier about how Recreation District 11 was doing, and you had a difficult time answering it. Would it be easier for you to maybe come back and report, maybe have a better report on how Recreation District 11 is doing, and then possibly we could have a better decision as to how to move forward?
So, Ms. Domingue, I think my difficult answer there was the oversight part of it. Financially, I'm comfortable in saying that they are okay if they stay within their restrictions that they have in place now. The difficulty was the oversight part of it, because there were some issues. And, Mr. Amos is in place now. If you would like for me to go back and come back and report what those issues were previously, it would take some time to go back and look at it. So I think that's where the difficulty was when I was answering it.
I remember specifically there was a report that we had. There was a big binder. There was a big book that we were given at one point. And so I'd like to know where we stand with all of those things. That there was a bunch of violations. And
there was a letter.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. There was a letter.
It was a big report that we all received at one point. And so I would like to know where they are with that and with the oversight. Of course, we're very excited that they've got new leadership. I think that's going to be fantastic for the district. And just to remind you guys, I do represent a big chunk of Recreation District 11 as well. So it's all of our people, actually. So we want to make sure that for everyone that we move forward in an appropriate way. And I know that we're moving forward with another part of this tonight. We're actually looking at the part of the manual, and we're supposed to have that completed by the end of the year. So could we potentially move forward with getting Rec 11 off of oversight towards the end of the year when we implement the manual, and that be kind of a better goal for us? That way it gives us all time to look at everything. Mr. Michaud?
Mr. Hardy?
I mean, that pretty much coincides with the 6-month thing. And, I certainly don't think that's a bad idea. But there's nothing, we have to revisit it. Officially, we've revisited it. We're done. We certainly have the option to make a motion and pass something to take them out of oversight or not. We don't have to do a motion to keep them in oversight. I think we just have to, we had to revisit it, and we've done that. So, but I do like that idea. I think that they may kind of go hand in hand. And look, I think that they're doing everything they're supposed to do now. But I think it's too soon to really tell that for a fact, because it's only been about 3 weeks.
And Ms. Candace, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how long would a report like that take you to put together? Would you be able to have that for the next council meeting, or would you need a month? What would be your time frame on that? I know you've got so much on your plate.
I guess it would depend on exactly what you would want. So what I'm thinking, I'm understanding is I think either late 2019 or very early 2020, we had sent a letter to Rec 11 that had, 10 or 12 points. A lot of it had to do with breaking up concrete, capital projects and stuff like that. So I could try my best for the next round of meetings to have an update on what that letter is. The only thing that I'm going to tell you, too, is you got to remember, if that went out early 2020, a lot of stuff didn't happen. So I could probably report to you that, yeah, everything was done correctly, but was it done correctly because of the times or because they had actually made the corrections that were needed? So I can update those letters for you, hopefully, by the next round of meetings.
And what I was referring to, actually, Mr. Dana Ortego had put together a report.
So that would have to come from him.
Okay.
Him and his team. Now, I do know that they have made some improvements. You're right. There was a PowerPoint slide. I think it was like a couple hundred pictures of problems and stuff. So you would have to request that from Mr. Ortego. His risk management department is the one that does those inspections. I don't have nothing to do with that part.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Hardy?
Thank you. First of all, hypothetical. 2020, whether it's going to rain on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and all other days the sun going to shine, that's hypothetical. We can't assume the negative. We can't assume the positive. as a report, asking for a report to come later on down the line, just made mention. It was this board's, it's everyone up here responsibility to already be in tune, and then by now, after 3 years, Rec 11 should be online. So if it's we not doing our job, we can't hold them accountable because we dropping the ball. Go to Rec 11's meetings, and in the minutes that they're supposed to have published in the newspaper, you're going to find my name off in there speaking on the behalf of them, trying to get them squared away. It's not the hiring of Mr. Amos Moses because one person that's juggling something in the circus is not the whole circus. And there are some significant parts about this on the everyday operations of this particular recreation board, and a simple question that was asked, and the answer I heard clearly was they're on the right track. And then not only that, I am actually making mention of this ordinance that actually got amended that applies to everyone in this in Terrebonne Parish. Now, if we want to do that, I want to know if we actually scrutinizing every recreation district under the same circumstances that Rec 11 is actually being placed upon. Other than that, if they are doing what they're supposed to do, we have an audit. We pay those people. I actually posed the question to Ms. Malden. How much would it cost to get rid of the attorney and the accountant, and how much Terrebonne Parish Consolidated government would charge Rec 11 to keep their books, which we pay a accountant, Rec 11 pays an accountant to report to Ms. Candace. So that information goes out on a monthly basis every time. It is published in the newspaper every time. We should be aware. We should be able to make a decision tonight.
Oh, Mr. Guidry?
Yeah, and Ms. Candace, it sounds like from what you were saying that Rec 11 was not abiding by all of the items and oversight until recently with the hiring of Mr. Mosley. Is that what you're telling me? Like now they're in line with what they're supposed to do in oversight?
So within the last 3 weeks, yes, sir. Prior to that, no, sir.
And understand that Rec 11 was not the only rec district at the time that was put under full oversight, because we do have an oversight ordinance, but we do have another caveat that says that separate action is taken to put a recreation district under what we call full oversight. And at the time, I think 2 rec districts, 2, 3, and 11 were put under full oversight.
Yes, sir.
Now, Rec 2, 3 had major changes within its board and its management. And was Rec 2, 3 in line with the oversight?
Yes, sir.
And if I remember, because I represent Rec 2, 3, I don't represent any of Rec 11, but Rec 2, 3, I think was abided by full oversight for many, many months. I want to say more than 6 months, right?
Yes, sir.
So we left them under full oversight until probably, I don't know, 8, 9, maybe even a year, I don't know, before we remove them from oversight. I think this is something we should revisit in 60 to 90 days, at least give some type of track record, is, my opinion. I think that was done with the Rec 2, 3 board, and I think it should, the same should apply with the Rec 11 board. I think, give them a little time, to make sure everything is smooth, and then, I just think that's the way we should move. That's my opinion. So I'd like to make a substitute motion. We revisit this in 90 days, not wait 6 months.
Second. I got a motion by Mr. Guidry, second by Mr. Gerald Michel. Any more discussion? Mr. Harding?
Ms. Malden, can I ask you a question? Are you aware of the accounting procedures and the operation of all the districts?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any other districts since April 5th, 2018 up until this particular moment that you know that have been in violation in more than one incident?
In violation
other than
of
2,
what?
3, and 11.
In violation of what,
Any
Mr.
portion
Hardy?
of the what this ordinance says.
So yes, sir, there are, I do believe Rec 5 has not submitted agendas and minutes. I believe Rec 7 has not submitted some minutes. Rec 8. So these rec districts are not the ones in the complete oversight. So they're just the ones that have to submit their budgets, they have to submit their minutes and their agendas, and I do believe that those have not done that part of it as well.
So therefore, you know what I mean, even though they're not, their budgets and their minutes are not put in there.
Their budgets have been submitted.
The budget, well, some of the information that's not publicized or you don't know anything about, so therefore, it could be some factors about these individual districts, not saying that there is, because a lot of things can be assumed about me, but they're not actually factual. So therefore, we look at the point of saying that, well, the possibility with these other recreation districts can be under scrutiny also. So therefore, at any given time, we can have someone from up here, appointed by the parish president, to go sit in those meetings and actually make recommendations to those districts, because that's what it says in here. At any given time, any member up here can go to any one of those districts, can sit down in there, and I don't go over there where 2, 3 is. I'm gonna flat out say it. I don't get involved in that. So you know, I just woke up Sunday morning with you know, man, my Carlin Flex had a funny taste to it. Thank you,
Mr. Michel.
And I just want to make a point. I don't typically go to the other rec districts, although if there are problems in other rec districts, maybe somebody from those districts need to put that on the agenda, and we need to look at putting them in oversight. But since Rec 11 is in oversight, then the entire council is responsible for them. I have absolutely 0 constituents who live in Rec 11, but because they're in oversight, the whole council is responsible. And so that's my point on that. Thank you.
Any more discussion? I got a substitute motion by Ms. Domingue, second by Mr. Michel, to keep Rec 11 in oversight for the next. Oh, I mean, okay, it was by you? Oh, okay, it wasn't by you. All right, by Mr. Guidry, second by Mr. Gerald Michel, to keep him in oversight for the next, and revisit this in 6 months. 90 days, I'm sorry. All in favor of Mr. Guidry's motion? Say aye. Raise your hands, please. Motion carries. So we're gonna keep him in oversight.
for the record. Hey, you know it's gonna go down like that.
All right.
Thank y'all for the discussion.
Quality of life review and draft highlighted sections of the recreation procedure manual, Ms. Domingue.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Candace and Mr. Roddy, they've been working very, very hard on the policy and procedure manual, which we all voted for and made ordinance a few months ago. And so Ms. Candace has actually completed part of the draft, and so she went ahead and is giving it to us to approve that draft. Ms. Candace 2 weeks ago did send it out to all the recreation districts as well, and invited them here tonight. And I see that we do have one member of one of the recreation districts here tonight, so that they could voice any concerns or any applause to the work that Ms. Candace has done. And once again, we truly appreciate all the work you guys have put into this, because this is just a little piece of everything that we ask you to do every day. And I think that you guys did a fantastic job. So Ms. Candace.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just wanted to point out a few things. First off, we did send it to the Parish President Recreation Advisory Board, to all of those members. And I also am on the agenda for their advisory board meeting tomorrow afternoon to go in detail with them, what their concerns are. The majority of the sections that are completed as of today, they're already what's in place. It's just not in writing. it's state law requirements, it's, purchasing requirements. It's, the only thing that's probably not in place that could be a little bit different is the budget and the accounting and the chart of accounts, and that so that we can be consistent. So that when y'all ask the questions of comparing Rec 11 to Rec 5 or 20 to 25, I know what the accounts are and how it fits and all that. I think that would probably be the only thing that's going to be a little bit different for them. We will work with them hand in hand. At the last advisory board meeting, we had the discussion of me meeting with their accountants. Once we get that put into place, once we can all agree with what these consolidated things will be, which I don't have a problem doing. So I just wanted to point it out that what's in here is what's really in place. It's just not written. And I will meet with them tomorrow evening. And if they have any significant changes, I will bring them to the council again for what their changes are based on what we agree to.
Thanks, appreciate that. Marcelina. Yeah, and the goal to have this complete is the end of the year, so we were hoping to have this completed by January 1st. So it's given us a little bit of time to be able to do that. So hopefully we don't go back and forth too many times. But I definitely appreciate having the input from those rec districts, because I think that's an integral part moving forward. And like I said earlier, this does level the playing field. It's not just Rec 11 that's going to be under this. It's all the rec districts that are going to be under one policy and procedure manual. So I just think it's a really great way for us to move forward as a parish. Mr. Michel?
Ms. Candace, did I understand correctly that the only thing right now that's about to be complete in the book is the budget and finance aspect of it?
No, sir. What I was saying was everything that's in here that has been completed, that's highlighted for tonight, is what's already in place, because it's state law requirements and all of that. What is a little bit different and might take some time to get used to and to adjust to is the chart of accounts and the budgetary practice for them.
Okay. I'm confused, although it's not the first time. What about the scheduling software? How does that play into what
So
we're
that
talking about?
part has not been put into the policy just yet. So just the items, I think what was presented to y'all had highlighted sections. Unfortunately, I didn't print out my own with the highlighted sections, but those are the only ones that I would say are complete as of today. And the scheduling software is not part of that. But most of it is the open meetings law, the budgetary and fiscal controls, your ethics requirement, purchasing, summer camps, and a few of the other ones.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Armitage?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Malden, and I see Ms. Larilla in the back. I really appreciate you guys being willing to go in the lion's den, because as we know, change can be tough to put into motion. And yeah, when I looked at this is all things that are in the law that they really have to do. And we spoke about the chart of accounts. I think that's going to make it real easy. I mean, for council members, learning the difference in the sequence of numbers and what they mean help us when we're looking at things too. When budget time comes up shortly, and then throughout the work that we do. And I appreciate the rec districts working with you on that. I know, like I said, change can be hard and things can be heated. But I also just want to say that ultimately, whatever is negotiated is going to come before us, and then we're going to take it and either adopt it or make changes to it. I want the rec district to know that, so that if they feel like they haven't made any ground in that meeting, they can always contact council members to share whatever concerns there are. I'm not asking for 100 phone calls. I'd rather some emails, because we're all pretty busy with our day jobs and everything going on, but we'll try to get to those as many as we can. I know I've taken some calls, and after explaining, having them sit down and really listen, then they understood it, and then they were okay with it. So we all have a job to do, but I just want to commend you guys for being willing to take this on. And with every time we get something, it's like a kid in a candy store. I think Jessica could probably agree. It's like one more step done. So I'm good with this. Thank you.
Thank you. You got something you wanna?
Laura Browning, address is 1311 Highway 55 in Montague. I'm the Rec District 6 Vice Chair, and I'm also Vice Chair of the Parish-wide Committee. Again, this is an amazing undertaking. It takes what the council has used as an orientation manual for boards, commissions, and other groups, which is copies of the actual law, and brings it back down to a more user-friendly document almost. One of the things I met with our staff, because our board has not met yet this month, we meet week after next. We met with the staff because they're the ones who have to live this and make it work. And they asked that any review of it or adoption of it be delayed until the entire document is ready so that we can see the language of the whole piece at one time instead of seeing pieces and parts. There were only 4 sections that they had questions about, and they asked me to make sure that that was brought forward. One was on page 3, where it says to ensure non-duplication of services. We're not sure what that means. Page 3, it's the 3rd paragraph. This manual recognizes the following roles and responsibilities to ensure non-duplication of services and better communication. We just wanted clarification on what non-duplication meant, because each of our communities is unique and they may wish a service that another district has, but they want it within our boundaries. The other thing that was recommended by the staff I worked with is on page 12, 3.3 fund balance reserves. The legislative auditor may suggest no less than 2 months reserve, but we think it would be a lot safer to recommend more reserve than just 2 months. After the last year, 2 months reserve would not have saved any of us because of the losses we have all taken in different locally generated funds. They suggested at least 3 months reserve, which is more. On page 24, under lost and found items, the concern was that all lost items default to Terrebonne Parish government and not to the Recreation District, and they felt it should default to the Recreation District and not Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. And then finally, on page 48, which is Appendix 7A, they were concerned about the time-consuming nature of getting 3 phone or fax written quotes for office supplies. And that's up to $3,000. So if they wanted to go and buy $5 of markers, it's cumbersome for them. We talked about the chart of accounts, and our chart of account has 93 items on it already, and it's migratable to the format recommended, but we anticipate it'll probably take about 20 hours of staff time to migrate it and make sure everything is coded to match it, and they were concerned about implementation and the time frame for installing this new system.
Ms. Malden?
Yes, thank you. So just to address a few of these that I can give an answer to immediately, and I'll address the rest and these as well tomorrow night. The page 3, the non-duplication, that was more trying to make sure that the rec districts and TPR are not duplicating services. So that way the rec districts are not competing with TPR, not amongst themselves. So I'll go back and look at that verbiage and see if maybe we can change it and make it a little bit easier to understand. The 2 months fund balance reserve, I'll have that conversation with the advisory board members tomorrow night. I don't think a difference between 2 months to 3 months is that big of a change, and I think we can come up with something that we would all agree to. As far as the lost and found items, they are correct. That should not have been surrendered to TPCG. That was a copy and paste that didn't get updated. So that should be surrendered to the rec district. So that will be updated as well. And on page 48, about the phone quotes, there's a couple of ways that our departments do this to make it a little bit easier. So we'll try to address those with them. And if it is too cumbersome, then we'll change it a little bit if we see fit.
Ms. Domingue?
Yeah, just to clarify, my packet only has up to page 33.
I don't know what happened.
Alright,
I don't know what I sent to, I think what I sent to all of the you had all the pages, obviously, was what I had sent to y'all. Maybe it didn't get copied.
Your appendix only goes to page 35 as well.
It's a conspiracy.
I can resend it to y'all tomorrow.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
When I sent it to you, Ms. Domingue, and then you sent it to Suzette, what I originally sent you, did it not have all the pages?
Yeah.
Oh, Suzette, maybe.
The original copy that we sent them to was contained the entire document, but if you look on the executive summary, we only provided you with the highlighted sections so that you wouldn't be confused as to what you were reviewing tonight. So we only gave you the pertinent pages, and that way you weren't flipping through the entire document.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, no, Mr. Michel?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposed changes. Yeah. Okay, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what was the first concern? What page was it?
Page 3,
And
third paragraph. Non-duplication of services, and what she says is valid, and that's what we assumed it was, but I want to make sure that it's in writing for the person 10 years from now standing here.
okay, but and I'm just bringing this up for you to consider if you're rewording something. Another example, possibly, of duplication of services might be if a park that's not in your rec district but is very nearby has adaptive equipment, and we don't need to duplicate that same equipment.
But
those
if our
types of-
community wants it duplicated,
But as long as, in my opinion,
and I have my surveys, yeah.
in my opinion, as long as they're aware that it's there, but I, it needs to be. I think we need to be made aware of what's in these other districts. So it may be something that you want to consider when you're rewording it. I don't think Rec 2-3 wants to build a tennis court in Summerfield. We have all those tennis courts right there, okay? So, that sort of thing. So just that's a thought I
One of
wanted
the
to bring
things
up.
the plan asks for, sir, is a master plan for the first time. So you're going to see districts for the first time going into surveys, community meetings. We've done them in Montague before we make any decisions. In fact, we have another one Saturday night with a group that's going to allow us to be there. We did one at our summer camp with 56 kids. We asked them to be part of a planning session on designing a playground, and we got some great responses from the kids. But what's good about this document, it says a master plan for capital expenses must be included with the proposed budget, which is, I think, a good use of planning and vision.
Ms. Mull?
Yes, Ms. Browning is correct, and that's what I was going to bring up too, is that the master plan is going to be presented to the council. And as they do budgets and as they update the master plan, the council will approve that. So if there is a duplication of parks that a council member is concerned about, that will be brought to your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Harding.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's being brought out through the modernization portion of it, and basically part B. And duplications are things that we have a lot of facilities that are here that are real close together. But of course, you want to actually satisfy the people that are actually paying their taxes within these communities. Canoeing is one spot, and skeet shooting might be in another spot. So, me personally, I would like for the district to have some part in their personalities of the playgrounds in the close proximity of their
And I
houses.
think we'll be able to communicate that with a master plan, a 5-year master plan. As I said, we've undertaken them now for 2 or 3 years in Montague, and that's where we've built the pavilion, and they helped design what the pavilion would look like. We're in the middle of, we have a 90-day window for planning for our next playground expansion and our site development in Pointe-aux-Chenes. And so we're in a 90-day window of planning right now for those sites. And like I said, we did 56 kids from 4-year-olds to 12-year-olds.
And I like the facility down there. I used to be the field supervisor down there, and The people down there are great, so, you know, I mean, the personality of the individuals down there incorporates
We've been very
itself
fortunate.
with a city boy like me going down there to go to work. Thank you.
We've been very fortunate. Our community is very involved in our recreation system. We now have 19.5 acres in our system.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Miss. Motion adjourned? Adjourned, Mr. Amadi, second by Mr. Harding. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on the table near the entrance into the building and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. Individuals addressing the council should be respectful of others in their choice of words and actions. All cell phones, pages, electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the Community Development and Planning Committee together and ask Ms. Domingue to give us an invocation and a pledge.
Dear Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business, guide hearts and minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon actions so that decisions may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Item number 1, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to sign the food. Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. Trying to get ahead.
Mr. Michel?
Thanks.
Mr. Amade? Here. Ms. Domain?
Here.
Mr. Daring Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Babin?
Here.
Mr. Dirk Guidry? Here. Mr. Trosclair? Mr. Navy? Mr. Harding?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, Keith. Sorry, I skipped over you. Item 1, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to sign the food service agreement between Terrebonne Parish School Board and Terrebonne Parish Head Start. Moved by Mr. Michel, second by Mr. Harding. Seeing no lights, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 2, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to sign and submit a continuum of care program grant agreement between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Moved by Mr. Guidry, Dirk Guidry, second by Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing no lights, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 3, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to sign an emergency solutions grant agreement between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and Louisiana Housing Corporation. Moved by Mr. Dirk Guidry. Second by Mr. Harding. Seeing no lights, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 4, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to enter into an appropriate sub-guarantee agreement with the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness in order to receive funding and implement the Flood Mitigation Assistance Severe Repetitive Loss Elevation Program. Moved by Mr. Michel, second by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Seeing no lights, all in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Motion to adjourn, Mr. Dirk Gidry, second by Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on the table near the entrance to the building or at the corner of the desk, and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. Individuals addressing the council should be respectful of others in their choice of words and actions. All cell phones, pagers, and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the Budget and Finance Committee meeting of July 25th, 2021 to order. I will be doing the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Dear Father, we ask for your blessing over the people of Terrebonne Parish, and Lord, we ask for your help in the matters that are at hand. We ask you to clearly show us how we're to conduct our work so that we can bring a spirit of joy and enthusiasm to the constituents that we serve. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Hampton, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Michel? Mr. Amade?
Here.
Ms. Domain? Here. Mr. Darren Gidry? Here. Mr. Babin? Here. Mr. Dirk Gidry? Here. Mr. Trosclair? Mr. Navy? Mr. Harding? Here. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, sir. Item 1, consider approving the co-sponsorship request for the 2021 Fuzzbait Fishing Invitational on Saturday, August 7th, 2021 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the home of Terrebonne Civic Center. Moved by Mr. Dirk Gidry, second by Mr. Babin. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, a resolution concurring with the parish administration to approve the state contract purchase of 2 John Deere tractors from Sunshine Quality Solutions and 2 mower decks from Covington Sales and Service for the Solid Waste Department. Moved by Mr. Darren Gidry, seconded by Mr. Danny Babin. We have a light, Mr. Babin.
Yeah, just for informational purposes, Mr. Toops, can you tell us how long before we'll have this equipment? I mean,
That's correct. Anywhere from 6 to 8 months.
That's the sad portion of it. You and I have spoken about that, but I want the people in the audience or who's ever watching this to know that if we could get it tomorrow, we could get it. We just approved it, but 6 to 8 month delivery time.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Harding.
Yeah, on the backside of that, how long it would take for those other ones to be repaired so we can get some of that grass cut?
6 to 8 months.
Get the parts correct.
Yeah, okay. Well, I read the thing, and we need those things ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Seeing no other lights, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, resolution concurring with the parish administration to approve the purchase of 2 cab and chassis and 2 dump bodies for the gravity drainage division through the Jefferson Parish contract under provisions set forth in LA Revised Statutes 39-1702. So moved, Mr. Babin, second, Mr. Darren Gidry. Seeing no lights, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to execute the contract for the RFP number 21 MOSQ-32 Mosquito Control Program with Mosquito Control Services, LLC. Move, Mr. Darren Gidry.
Seconded by Dirk.
Second, Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to execute the primary contract for RFP number 21 EMGSW-30 Disaster Recovery Debris Management and Disposal Services with DRC Emergency Services, LLC.
So moved.
Move Mr. Danny Babin, second Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, resolution authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to execute a contract with OCS Janitorial LLC for janitorial services for the various parish-owned buildings and to provide for related matters.
Moved.
Move Mr. Darren Gidry.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jessica Domain. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, authorizing the parish president, Gordon E. Dove, to execute a contract with the best responsible vendor for RFP number 21 Disinfect-35 disinfecting and sanitizing services and to provide for related matters. Move Mr. Danny Babin, second Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, resolution declaring of vehicle, computers, tablets, bikes, and other miscellaneous equipment from various departments, divisions having a value of less than $5,000 as surplus and authorizing said items to be disposed of by any legally approved methods. Move Mr. Dirk Gidry, second Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, introduce an ordinance declaring a 2002 XL 4100 Gradall unit number 3273 from the Drainage Department having a value of $15,000 as surplus and authorizing said item to be disposed of by any legally approved methods and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Move Mr. Danny Babin, second Mr. Darren Gidry. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2021 budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government so as to adjust the 2021 adopted beginning fund balances and the net positions to actual as per the 2020 audited financial statements and call a public hearing on Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Move Mr. Danny Babin.
Second.
Second, Mr. Darren Gidry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2021 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Local Government Assistance Program, 0. Petite Caillou Lock Structure, $4,686. Public Safety Fund, $750,000. Juvenile Detention, $100,000. Criminal Court Fund, $250,000. Dedicated Emergency Fund, $1,100,000. Coastal Restoration, $3,555. Severe Repetitive Loss Program, $209,199. Hazard Mitigation Grant, $6,660. FMA Flood Mitigation Program, $26,510. PDMC RFC programs, $21,844, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Carl Harding, second by Mr. Gerald Michel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. One more. Item 12, introduce an ordinance to appropriate funds relative to and for the adoption of the operating and capital budgets for the Terrebonne Parish Council on Aging, Inc., and call a public hearing on said matter Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gerald Michel, seconded by Mr. Darren Gidry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion adjourned by Mr. Carl Harding.
Second.
Second by Mr. Darren Gidry. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.